Well, hey, and welcome to the Becoming Better podcast. My name's Nate, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, on today's episode, Jason, Josh, and I sit down and we discuss Josh's new roommate. We also talk about Sunday's message, and we also dive into one of your comments. So thank you for submitting that. We're also doing a bonus episode. We'd love to go over some of the things that have stuck out to you these last 50 plus weeks. So would love for you to submit that. You can submit that at quadcity.church/podcast. Well, without further ado, we hope you enjoy this conversation. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Happy Monday, everybody.
It's Monday.
I feel like it's been actually a couple of weeks since we said that.
Did we do Tuesday last week too?
We did.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's been a while. So we're back. Happy Monday.
Yeah. It feels good. So, Josh, I just wanted to say I got a new roommate, and I hear you got a new roommate too.
Oh, I do have a new roommate.
And the people have been so mad that I haven't brought this up earlier.
I'm sure they have because I was so. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Every week.
Josh, tell me about your roommate.
Yeah. So the Garrett family a couple weeks ago, we got a dog, and I don't know why we got this dog. But
And
we got a
Josh, how
dog.
adamant were you 6 months ago about the Garrett family getting a dog?
I've stayed pretty adamant for 12 years
Yeah.
since I had that child at firstborn. And they won. That's what happened. People ask,
They wore you down.
They wore me down. My kids wore me down. And there have been times when we had talked about it. And I'm like, both of us, Diana and I, both go, that's dumb. We're not doing it. And this time it was like, I just didn't have anything left to give. I had no more fight to give. So we got this little dog. He's a little golden doodle. And
Josh has a golden doodle.
He does. Who
Max.
would you say
Max
is
his name.
Max's best friend in your family right now?
Oh, he for sure, he loves Judah. So Judah, and it's because I was like, son, you're taking care of this dog.
Yep.
Like I got up this morning at 5:45, to go take him out, and I go in his room, and Max is in the bed with Judah, and he's like, oh, Dad already took him out. I'm like, all right, man.
Oh, that's
on
awesome.
fall break.
Yeah.
So, he woke up early, took the dog out to the bathroom. But normally it's like me in the mornings. I wake up and take him to the bathroom, and we have our little time. So it's fine. Look, man, me and Max are doing our thing. It's fine. It's fine.
That's the thing.
Yep.
He's been this big old gruffy mean, I ain't gonna have no dog, and then at 5:30 he snuggles with that dog on the couch.
And what I tell you,
neck nuzzles on the couch.
And what I tell you why I didn't want a dog, because I knew this would happen. These kids are gonna leave, and this dog's gonna be me. I'm gonna be walking around the neighborhood with this dog. I already knew what was gonna happen.
Yep.
I already knew. So I'm not shocked by it. So yeah. So me and Max.
I'm just saying you're hating, and then all of a sudden you're the guy. You just neck nuzzling that dog on the couch at 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Which is why I remembered, because I got some proof that you and Max are homies. So I have a picture. So I have a picture that was sent to me, and I want to show you guys. So here's the picture.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't count, man. I was driving.
Okay. For those of you who don't
It's
know,
like pickup day.
this is Josh in the car with the dog in the left hand, holding him out the window with with the sun shining on his face and a little grin. And this dog is just living his best life.
So
And
the cool
is
thing about Apple, they give you live photos. So if you hold the screen, it
he's
paints a
even
little
doing
more.
the pets. He's giving him pets as they're going down the road.
So let me tell you what happened. So this dog this is pickup night. We drive down, pick this dog up.
Okay, so this is day one.
Day one. I drive down and pick his dog up from Apache Junction. That's where I drive to get this dog.
Gosh.
So that's how ridiculous this thing is. We drive down there. The dog is in the back seat. It's in the car seat with Amos. And he's like, there's a lot going on with Amos.
Yeah.
Amos all still. He's all like in his face all the time. Max is a little nippy with Amos. He gets this, Anyways, so Diana gets him. and Gideon is like up front, and Max is like the dog is freaking out. He's drooling a whole bunch, and he just like walks over and sits there. And I was like, "Dad, this is not gonna work. Like, I'm on I-10.
Yeah,
like this is a lot of traffic. I need you to get this dog." So she took a picture and sent it to Gary. So I get this from Gary, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I cannot believe you took this picture." So it's great. We got the dog. He's fine. It's we're doing
Don't
the thing.
downplay it.
It's great. We got a dog.
He's your bosom buddy.
It's
bosom
fine.
buddy.
So its best part is, we don't want to leave him kenneled all day. We're trying not to be mean people. So Jason's mom and the other Kathy come over every day and let this dog out. And they are in love with him.
Yep.
They love Max and they want to take him home with them all the time. So literally every single day they're over there at like 10 or 11 to let him out and go to the bathroom. And they put him back in his little kennel.
I can see in like 5 years, or once most of the boys are out of the house, I can see you coming in the office with
me and
Max,
just hanging out, just dog,
just
in
going
the
to
back
the store. Yep, I can see that happening soon.
But there's
He's going to be one of those guys.
Nah.
He's going to be walking that dog in a stroller.
No.
Right down,
Yeah,
down on the square. Got his little stroller dog.
No.
Because Max got his hip out of joint. And Josh is doing massages and stroller walks.
It was like, I was like, no, just let him go outside. He's a dog. He'll be fine. Just let him go run and play. He's a dog.
Yep.
That's what they should do. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? Let the dog go outside. He's fine. He's perfectly fine to be outside by himself. I have a pretty decent sized yard.
Yeah.
He could do whatever he wants. And if he gets into something he shouldn't, he only do it once.
They learn pretty quick.
Yeah, you get up in that cactus, get that nose all tore up. I bet you do that one time, buddy. So we got the doggy door and he just goes out and does his thing. And I'm like, I'm not standing out. Like, oh, you got the person we got him from, like, oh, put him on a leash and take him outside. I was like, a leash? This is a dog. They know how to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They actually, God built them in a way to go outside.
Yep.
It's amazing. So, I have a dog, man. I know it. I know. So for all you people, you can just come and laugh at me on Sunday because I gave in to 4 children.
Yep.
Yes.
4 kids, 1. I can't believe it.
That's great.
I had to get a dog when we left. Had to find a dog sitter. All the things I hate.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. So that was the other part. I was like, I get somebody to come watch this dog. I used to be able to just leave my house. We're over here thinking through like, man, we're going to be gone all week.
Yep.
All day today. Man, we're going to do about this dog. People are like going over, let him out all the time because he's a puppy. Everybody loves him now.
Yeah.
Talk to me when he's gross and 4. He's not cute anymore. So that's my roommate.
Yeah.
So yeah, So anybody want to give me tips and tricks? Go ahead. It's funny. Dinah's never had a dog her whole life.
Really?
Never had an animal at all. Really, their family just was like we had them all the time growing up. Like it's not like it's new to me. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
work.
And I gotta feed
I'm
it.
dog free for the first time in 25 years.
You gonna get another one?
No, I don't have a yard.
Yeah, it is true.
I
Yeah.
have no yard.
Yeah,
So-
you need like a gerbil or a guinea pig.
Listen, we had a guinea pig for a while,
You need,
and
you need a guinea pig.
and the guinea pig, I just called him our Armageddon meal. Like that's why you get a guinea pig. Like I would just tell him, like I don't know. So if you go to Peru, I don't know about Mexico, but in Central America, they eat these things.
They do.
Like you go to the supermarket.
They do.
And I'm in Peru and I'm in the supermarket and you know how we would have the little styrofoam with the hamburger and the stuff, the saran wrap over it. They got a little guinea pig that's been defurred and he's just laying there on his back, his little legs splayed out and in the grocery store and you pay by the pound to eat one of these little guinea pigs.
They get up to a pound?
They're pretty big.
Yeah, I would.
Interesting.
And I would just walk by that little thing. I'd just say, you're going to be a soup one day. Like when things go sideways, he's the last meal. That's our last. And family didn't like it that I said that, but
Really? Shocker. My cousin has them. When we went back to visit, she had a couple of them. I was like, "You still got these animals? We got these guinea pigs for." The boys had never seen them, like ever. Oh, we want to hold it. I was like, some of them things are mean.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't let Silas hold it.
I've got one in my house right now.
You have a guinea pig?
Right now in my house.
What?
You can see it. You can see it Wednesday. Because my
Kids take home or whatever?
Yeah, it's at where my wife was a teacher for many years. They had one in the classroom, and it's fall break, and so somebody's got to watch this thing. And I'm like, "You don't work there anymore. Why are you bringing this thing home?" But no, she brought it home. She volunteered, so we got this little guinea pig in my house right now.
Is it big? Is it hefty?
He's enough to make a sandwich out of.
One good meal.
If it gets dicey.
Yeah.
If it goes sideways.
So we all can't go to Jason for that.
No. He's gonna be a stew, and it's not gonna be much. But it's gonna be something.
Alrighty, this turned a lot sideways.
It did. With PETA is coming.
Yep.
Gosh.
We're gonna get shut down.
We are. All of a sudden, this episode is going to be just taken off the airways. That feels like it's going to be trouble.
It's gonna be weird when we try to figure out why it got shut down.
PETA.
Yeah. So, all right, let's jump in. We finished 2 Timothy.
Hey,
We're
did it.
done. So, we still got a couple more.
One.
just one.
Yeah,
one
one
left.
more. So, crazy 50 weeks. So thanks for joining us. Before we dive in, would love to just kind of shout out and say thank you to everybody that's either talked to us at Pastor's Point about what's really stuck out to you, but we'd love to just encourage you guys to think about that this week as we wrap up this series and just submit what's stuck out to you guys, what you've taken away from this series, and what messages you either liked or you didn't like, or any of that stuff. So would love for you to submit that.
Didn't like.
Yeah. quadcity. What is it?
.church /
/podcast.
podcast.
Yeah. So quadcity.church /podcast. We'll put that in the show notes for you to click on. So
Yeah, we would love to be able to just do a whole episode where
We're gonna do a bonus.
yeah.
Next week, we're going to do a bonus episode.
where it's just your all's comments. We want this to be interactive. We'd love to have some of you share your stories of, hey, here's what stood out. This is what God's doing. This thing we're learning. So,
And the
help us
primer was the end of this week's sermon was kind of, the highlight in, 2.5 minutes of, hey, here's 10 things that we talked about throughout this entire series, or that Paul has talked about throughout the writings. But we didn't even include some of the stuff out of Acts or, we're not going to include this last week's Revelation because we haven't done it yet. But so, just what you have, kind of like we did with Romans. So if you've been listening since Romans, we did that too. We shared just, hey, what has God done over this 50 weeks is a whole year. It's almost a whole year. And so if God has done something really cool in your life, we want to share it. We want to hear it. And so please, please, please submit that. And we're going to drop a bonus episode. So Nate said it's in the show notes.
Yep.
And so Nate, we know not everybody may be able to find the show notes.
Yeah.
So maybe could you give us like a 20 seconds of, hey, here's how to get to it.
Yep. So it's all dependent on what you use, but whatever you use, if you click on the episode, you should see at the bottom underneath the title, the show notes. And that's where you can click on the link, or you can see any of the extra stuff we put in there. And like I said, it's dependent on what you use. So if you use podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's usually right underneath the title after you click on that episode.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for me, I use Apple Podcasts because I'm lazy and I want as few apps as I can get. And when it populates on my home screen, there's 3 little buttons on the bottom right of each episode. You just click on that little 3, and then it'll say go to episode, and all of the show notes pop up.
Yep.
So we'll link it into there.
If you're still having issues, would love to still help you guys out. So I know like last week we tagged a couple other podcasts to listen to, but if you can't find that, just shoot me an email, Nate R. So NATER as in Robert at quadcity.church. And would love to send you that. So,
hey, we're cool too. If you listen to those other podcasts and have any thoughts, shoot them our way.
Yep.
Like same thing. Like we'd love to hear, or if you did like Jason said, if you called around to other friends in other parts of the country, man, we want to hear other stories of what God is doing and what God is on the move.
Yeah.
Again, not just at Quad City, but forever or everywhere. And so, share that with us. That'd be really cool, especially if you listen to those episodes. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a great one yesterday. So,
cool.
I'm getting ready to go. Actually, it was in between services yesterday, and our friend Krista, sent me a pic and a text, and she's visiting her daughter in college in Montana, and so she sends me a picture. She said, "This is the line getting into church in Bozeman today," and it was obviously the parking lot jam packed, and they're all lined up out the street. And then she showed me a picture in the room, and it was completely full. She said, just like everything you were talking about on the podcast this week, is she's experiencing. She's like, every seat was full, and so exciting. I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about. And I had somebody else last week tell me about some churches that they were a part of. So what we're saying is just universally true. We're just seeing this everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and when I think you say it, and when it's like when you buy a car, and you then see the car everywhere, right?
Yep.
Your mind works that way. I think the more we start talking about it, the more we see it, we catch it, right? Yep. We see the glimpses of it.
Yeah.
As we start sharing it, then you're looking for it more.
Yep.
That's what happens.
Yep.
And so I never think it's a bad thing for us to be on the lookout for more ways in which God is moving and stirring and doing things. And so just being able to point it out and call it out is super helpful.
Yep. A friend, Brian Hallstrom, he sent me a text last week, and he sent me a screenshot of a message that he got from his brother, who's a pastor in North Carolina. And he said, this is my brother's church in North Carolina as of the beginning of September, and they've been growing since. So they've seen the same thing. And so double-digit percentage growth just since September. And so, again, a lot of the same stuff that we've been talking about, they're experiencing too in North Carolina.
That's awesome.
Good.
So Montana and North Carolina were two that I got confirmation of this week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And to go back to what you were saying, Josh, the whole where we seeing God move, that was one of the big things Randy, the old student pastor, used to challenge
really
the
old.
students.
He is really old.
He said, but that was something that kind of stuck with me, of just like challenging yourself, like to find where God's moving. Because I think it does, like you said, when you buy a car, or whenever you want something, you see more and more of it, and it starts popping up in your feed. And I think that's what we need. I think we need our overlords to start sending us more posts about what God's moving and how he's moving. So,
yeah, you're right, though. That is true, man. If we could, there's enough bad.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so just forcing yourself in a way to go and seek that out and find that and be reminded by that and to see that is, yes, way better for our souls than doom scrolling for hours on whatever horrible thing is happening.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of social media is that it does connect you around the world, and the horribleness of social media is it connects you around the world.
Yeah.
There's stuff that you would not have known 75 years ago.
Yeah.
And they lived completely happy lives.
Yep.
And we're okay to not know what was happening all over the world in an instant. And so, but there's also cool things because you can be plugged in to, I heard Jason randomly talking about in Nigeria, that there's been 10,000 martyrs over the course of this year?
Well, there's another one that popped up. It's like 129,000 in the last 10 years.
In the last 10 years. Again, we wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
And that is something to remind me of, that when Jesus and the New Testament talk about persecution, there are people who are really facing it. Jason said in his message, I've never been arrested. And that's true, man. For the most part, I mean, there's been sacrifices for my faith, but it's not ever been to that level.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of this global picture of what, that's so where it may not necessarily feel true. Sometimes when you read it, you go, that's not how it is here. But the rest of the Christian world, that's
for many in the Christian world.
For many in the Christian world, that's what they're experiencing. So great reminders that I am linked into Voice of the Martyrs and those kinds of things. It is really powerful. So that's the good of technology, So in those ways.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's jump in and talk about this last Sunday. Like I said, we're wrapping up chapter 4 in 2 Timothy. So Josh, you were on stage, but you're also in the room. So what did you see? What stuck out to you this last Sunday?
Yeah, when we went back and forth teaching this and how we were going to teach it, and we wanted to not skip it, but how could we, how do we get to that kind of the end where he landed was like, hey, could we do that for the whole sermon? And then as he wrote, felt compelled to share some of the stories to the names, which I thought ended up being really cool, that it wasn't something we just skipped over and breezed over. So yeah, it was great. Again, I actually obviously have more context just because I, have studied obviously more of the Bible, not because I'm any better, but just study the Bible more.
It's your job.
Yeah, it's my job, which everybody can do. Again, we talked about this. There are some things we all can do, just read the Bible more.
Yeah.
So some of the names are super familiar. Some of the stories and some of the content.
Although I did catch grief this morning in our lead team meeting.
Yeah, we're going to talk
about what, Jason?
About how bad you butchered these people's names. Man.
Listen, which ones did I butcher? I felt like I did a great job. But I also heard that Nate and Josh were sending text messages during the sermon as I'm preaching my soul out for the joy of the Lord, and you two are having a field day.
Oh, I loved it. I saw where Josh was sitting, and just hearing you say these names, I looked straight to Josh, and I could almost hear him say, that wasn't it. But he was shaking his head, and I was laughing so hard. And I get a text message of like, how many more times do you think he can butcher these names?
Really, it was how many just ways do you say it differently? It just was amazing.
Yeah,
and great. And so,
listen, we're just making up these pronunciations.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do we know that they have a name that we all know, but they all say it different? Like, Josh, you're half black. Okay. Yeah. So you got these people and they spell their name one way and then they say it a different way. So I just wanted to affirm whatever this person's name actually is. I wanted to say it a different way in each service.
Yep. Great. And you did. But again, the point of where I was going before I was interrupted. Anyway, but it is cool to Jason has context of starting the whole thing out. These are real people in real places, and you can get on a plane and go to those places.
Yep.
That's the part of this that we always forget, that so much of our books we read and stuff, it is felt more as if it's in a land far, far away. That's not this. These were really real people. And not just Timothy would have known Demas. There are other people that have read this and went, he left you?
Yeah.
Man. And they would have hurt for Paul.
Yeah.
They may have heard the story of Mark and been like, oh, that's awesome. They reconcile. You know what I mean? Like they would have had a personal connection. Maybe Barnabas heard that. Right. And at the end, Barnabas was like, man, that's so good to hear. Paul brought him back in.
Yep.
So those are the parts that are really great, is the connection to that whole church. And somebody may be going, oh, Timothy's now here. This is where he is. I wondered, he left Crete and went somewhere, and they lost him.
Titus, you mean?
Titus, I mean, yeah. And they're like, where did he go?
Yeah.
And to hear, oh, he's in Dalmatia. Oh, awesome. Man, if I'm ever there, I'm going to make sure I look him up.
Yep.
So those are the kind of things too. It's like, for the people in that century reading that or hearing that letter, how informative it would have been to them as well, not just for Timothy.
And I think for pastors like us, this has even more we get this, right? Because this is our life now.
Yeah.
Like we know people who are serving in ministry, and then all of a sudden we lose touch and they're not at that church anymore and wonder what happened. And that's in the day of social media. But then you show up somewhere and you get to bump into them and you catch up and you like, there's so much. And I'm guessing every profession has some version of that. But man, it does. There's something in us. The church world is small, even in America. I mean, I've got pastor friends all over the country, and we have these kind of conversations, catching up on where people are. And so the fact that they were doing that in the first century, I think, is
absolutely
it's easy to connect to for us.
And just a great reminder that even though it was written to Timothy, Paul knew that this was going to be read to everyone. He was going to share it with everyone. There's going to be these things to everyone. So, thought it was great. I'm glad we ended up doing it that way, hopefully for people to walk away, I'm sure, and went, oh, I didn't know that person. Or again, to be reminded of Priscilla and Aquila, that they have been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just faithfully just living life and growing and being a part of a church. I'm sure they were a huge help to Timothy.
Yep.
Just solid people who had been there since the very beginning. And so, Luke traveling with Paul the whole time.
Yep.
Just with him, which probably is why Luke wrote Hebrews, but it's a whole nother thing. I mean, I'm sold on that now. I know we talked about that before. I'm locked in. Now all the words that are Luke words out of Acts that feel like Paul makes a lot more sense. So he definitely wrote a lot of that New Testament.
For sure he did. He wrote more than anybody else.
If we give him Hebrews, too.
I'm not sure I'm giving him Hebrews.
Dude, it's a Paul thing. And it's got 50 unique phrases to Luke that are found in Acts, are found in Hebrews. I think it's a sermon.
It
right?
for sure is a sermon.
And it feels like a Paul sermon, right? In a way.
I don't know. We never really heard Paul
that is true.
preach. And so I don't know.
Yeah. But interesting. So that was some of I told you, I got down that rabbit hole one day and just got lost in it. And now
I think here's what I'd say. Here would be my argument. And we're losing everybody. Our audience right now.
Yep.
Here would be my argument against it being Luke. There's too much Hebrew in it. There's too much Old T. Luke.
That's why it's a Paul. It's just he's transcribed a sermon. And that's why, again, I'm thinking when you read some of it, it does read sometimes like Paul, but there are 50 unique phrases that are used in the book of Acts or something like that. It's interesting. I'm just saying. But yes, a Gentile likely wouldn't have written it out of just sit down and write it.
There's too much Old T history, too much Jewish history.
I used to think it was Apollos.
Yeah.
So
and that one I could buy that one.
Yeah, but now the Luke piece with the Paul, because again, he hung out with Paul way more than I even give thinking to.
Yeah,
for sure.
He was
there a lot.
How much did he hear Paul in the synagogue?
Yeah,
and he just wrote sermons down for him. I feel like that's what he did, and so we'll get my answer one day when I get to the pearly gates.
And I think that's the hardest part because you mentioned it in your sermon of like. It's not really written if Timothy made it.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
So like, I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, did he get there?
Yeah.
Like, so I know for me, for sure, it was like, after you said that, it's like, well, now I want to know. But we're not going to know on this
Way to go,
side.
Jason.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think most scholars have concluded he didn't. And again, mostly there's a lot of writings from the early church fathers. Those first couple of 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
Who gave us a ton. They filled in a ton of blanks on a lot of things. And none of them wrote about that part. And so that's why it seems as if that was true, that somebody would have wrote it down. Somebody would have shared that story, and nobody did. So,
the one thing that stuck out to me was at the end when you did, when you hit all the bullets of each verse.
Yeah.
What was the FF about?
Oh, that's great. That's second person.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah. So FF is just shorthand. So if you go to the end of the message, as I was kind of given the big ideas of some of these, the big takeaways, some of the highlight reels of Paul's writing, I put the verse, and then I had FF. And so for those of you who don't understand, I give my sermon notes to Nate, and he creates those slides for me. So he just created them straight from my notes. That's shorthand for following. So, like if I said Ephesians 3:10 FF, it means not just Ephesians 3:10. It means Ephesians 3:10 and the verses that are following. And so that's what those little that FF means. I don't know where I picked that up.
It's pretty standard
Yeah.
industry practice.
In Bible college world somewhere. But, yeah. But FF just means in following.
Okay.
And so it's just because some of them, like when I did Ephesians 6, when, I mentioned about specifically the spiritual warfare and the armor of God, that's multiple verses that cover that. And I just gave you the first one and typed FF. It just means in the verses that are following, all connected together there.
Alrighty.
But it's always interesting because I don't know where to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go, how far am I going with this?
Yeah.
Am I like finishing to the next chapter? What's happening here? So, yeah.
Cool. Sweet. So, Jason, if I would have given you a couple more minutes on your message, what would you have hit? I know we're doing a bonus episode, but is there anything else outside of that you would have added or did anything about?
So I think the biggest thing would have been the list would have been longer. We sat down in our sermon planning and came up with, I don't know, 15 or 20.
There's a lot
kind of big ideas that Paul gives us that are so amazing and unique. I mean, again, you look at Ephesians 2:8-9, like it is the pinnacle of we have been saved by grace through faith, and this is not of ourselves. Like that is a coffee cup verse.
Yeah.
It's one of the big ones. And it's given in the context of this, and there's several of those. And so I think if nothing else, we'd have made that list a little longer. But again, that's what we hope you as listeners are going to help us recreate that list and remind us of these amazing things that God gave us.
Yeah.
Through this word.
Yeah. He is like, speaking of that, we were talking about this list and making it, and then we were talking about how we ended up kind of transitioning, and he gets to the end and he says that prayer over us. And I was talking about, I was like, he prays and he gets to the point and he goes, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more. And my thought was, man, I hope people remember that sermon.
Yeah.
Because that sermon in context with that verse is not, he's going to make me richer and give me $1 billion. It is, God is going to reconcile two groups of people together. That is more than we could ever imagine. Jew and Gentile would be one church. And like, it was a whole thing. He hammered and hammered and hammered. And so I'm like, my mind is like, even when I read it Wednesday, I'm like, man, I hope people remember that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to walk out going, oh, Pastor just prayed that
that's right.
God going to do all this. Because that's when he's
getting that Lexus.
Because when Jason says this is the most powerful thing, that's what he's talking about. That's what makes this so powerful. The prayer is amazing. Then Paul taps in that God could do imaginably more. And it's that's the context. And that's what is so amazing and just so overwhelming. And so, unfortunately, it has been one of the co-opted verses, of the health and wealth prosperity stuff. And that's actually not what Paul's talking about. Because Paul didn't get that at all. He was his tent
he had
maker.
one coat.
Apparently had one coat.
Got one coat. It's up in Troas.
Hey, go get it for me. Yeah, but so it's it's so frustrating. So even as he's praying that, I'm like, oh, please remember, please remember, people. Please remember what the context is. Don't forget. It's so important. But that was what 30 weeks ago,
right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
And if you, don't have that in your memory bank, you lose of why it's that powerful.
Yeah.
And it is. It's such a powerful prayer. It's amazing. So
good. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay. Sweet. Then let's jump in. We didn't have any questions, but we did have one comment from Melody. And
Which was great, by the way.
We got time, so I'm going to read this whole thing.
Yeah, read it for us.
So Melody says, Well, I don't really have a question, so I just want to share something. Today's message from the end of Second Timothy really struck a chord with me, especially Paul's mention of Demas. A few months ago, I walked through something similar. The loss was deep and painful, not only emotional, but spiritually. Hearing Paul's words today, I could almost feel the rawness he still carried over that loss. I think we often focus so much on Paul's resume of physical suffering and persecution that we overlook the spiritual suffering he endured. Our battles truly are not against flesh and blood, and spiritual warfare doesn't always look like persecution from the outside. It can also look like heartbreak within the body of Christ. I am thankful for God who heals not only physical wounds, but spiritual wounds too. And I'm deeply grateful for a church community and for the leadership team, my discipleship group, and a few key friends who came alongside me in that season. In particular, Brad and Stephanie both walked with me as godly advisors and friends, helping me seek God's direction when I questioned whether He still wanted me to continue in the area of ministry I had shared with my Demas. What I thought might be an ending, God used as a new beginning. He breathed fresh life into what felt uncertain and continues to use it for His glory alone. It's a beautiful picture of the body of Christ, pointing me back to a God who is faithful, walking with me through that time of spiritual uncertainty. The point I'd like to emphasize, the redemption, if you will, the point I'd like to emphasize, the redemption, if you will, is that being part of a church community is vital not only for growing in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, but also for growing in spiritual resilience. Jason, at the end of the service, you walked us through a highlight reel of Paul's letters to the Ephesians, reminding us that the church exists to make known the manifold wisdom of God, Ephesians 3:10. We need each other not only to walk through major life events together, but to help one another stand firm when suffering cuts deep into the soul, and to build the kind of spiritual resilience in Christ that enables us to finish the race well. So I would encourage anyone who makes church more than a Sunday morning experience, get in a discipleship group, ask about one-on-one discipleship, reach out to that person you met at the women's brunch or men's breakfast and grab coffee together. God has given us the church of Jesus, the great gift of the fellowship of the believers. Let's not squander it. Let's help one another finish the race well, like Paul.
Amen and amen.
Yeah.
And I think, again, anybody who's been in ministry and served, like Melody, we talked about it again in a meeting this morning with our lead team. I just asked the question, who, as you think back on your years of serving in the church, when you hear the story of what happened with Demas and Paul, do you have a similar story? And everybody around our table is like, yeah. And you could see the weight of that. And so I think all of you who are listening have your own version. Again, it may not be necessarily in ministry. It could be with a job or a family or a friend or somebody, but somebody that you thought was going to be there for the long haul and they're not. And the thing that I shared this morning was, there's a couple of things that Paul says in that text. So he talks about Demas and how he deserted him. But a little further down, he says, look, everybody deserted me. Everybody abandoned me. And then he says, and may it not be held against them. Like that, yeah, people leave. And we have to work through forgiveness. And he prays that for Demas. Like, may the Lord not hold it against him. Like he's praying that. And we have to do that. We have to put in the work to forgive. When people walk out and they leave us in those times when we need them most, we got to have a heart of forgiveness for them. It's Jesus on the cross, right? Nobody was left more isolated and alone than Jesus on the cross. And what did he say? Father, forgive them. And so we have to bear that. And it was really interesting as we shared that. Somebody talked about, two people actually said, I've been Demas. I've been the one that there are people who would hear that and think of me. And I'm like, oh, I didn't need that today, but it's true. I feel that too. There's probably been some people that needed me, and I walked out. And so that forgiveness piece and the confession piece. And then at the end, just reminding them, hey, if you've got this person, how do we turn our Demas into Mark? Where there is this, they both deserted Paul, and Paul was done, but yet Mark, there was this reconciliation that happened. How do we make sure that we're open to reconciliation with these people that we've been hurt by?
Yeah.
And so I think there's power in that. And so thanks, Melody, for sharing that. I want to share one other verse. When I first read her comment, I was reminded of this verse in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. And this is Paul's resume. Again, as I start to share it with you, if you're connected to the Bible very much, then you know this. It's where Paul kind of walks down his earthly resume. He says, whatever else anyone dares to boast about, I'm speaking as a fool, I also dare to boast about. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they Abraham's descendants? So am I. Are they servants of Christ? I am out of my mind to talk like this. I am more. And then he goes through this and he says, I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, been exposed to death again and again. 5 times I received from the Jews 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea, and I have been constantly on the move. I've been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger of the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled. I have gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst, and often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. So this was what Melody says. We often think about Paul's physical sufferings, and he lists all of them right here in this text. And then we get to the end. And the last thing he says is, besides everything else, so all of the physical stuff that he just described, he says, besides all of this, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Who is weak, and I do not feel weak? Who's led into sin, and I do not inwardly burn? Like Paul gives us this big list of all the physical stuff. And then he kind of slides that to the side and says, and besides all of this, you want to know the biggest thing I deal with? I face daily the pressure I feel for all of the churches, for Philippi and Colossae and Corinthians and all of these church and Ephesus. Like he feels the weight of all of the souls of these people. Like there is a spiritual burden that he's walking with every day that is just on top of him all the time. He says, who's weak that I don't feel that? Or who's walking in sin that it doesn't impact me? Like he feels a burden for these people. And that is a spiritual weight that I think outside of those who are trying to lead people in ministry, I think it's really, really hard to understand the weight that Paul's describing there. Pastors feel this, at least the good ones. For sure, there are the wolves in sheep clothing, and they don't care. But good pastors, they feel this. When their flock is hurting, they hurt. And when they're walking in sin, the pastor is broken over it. Like that's what Paul's feeling. And imagine all of these churches that he was a part of, that he helped plant, and all of these families. He has names and faces in every one of them. And he's like, at the end of the day, you want to know where the pressure is? It's with these people. And I think that for him was probably worse than the shipwrecks and the viper bites and the beatings. I think it's the weight of the burden of the ministry that he's feeling. So, Melody, I think you're right. I think that spiritual part that you described, I think even for Paul, it was a huge part of the burden that he bore for the sake of the gospel.
Yeah, and just to imagine, you kind of talked about it in your message of like this letter that Paul, the last letter that he wrote would have taken, weeks to months.
Yeah.
So I could just imagine Paul just sitting there anxiously waiting to hear from all these churches and just like anxiously like maybe they're not meeting anymore and maybe, I failed. And so I could just imagine his anxiety of like not hearing.
Yeah, you get to see that angst in the letter in the first and second Corinthians.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 letters that we don't have, by the way, that Paul wrote. And so there's a whole timeline you can do with those letters. There was actually 4 letters that he wrote to the Corinthians, and they wrote him back, and they would ask questions and he would answer them. And in a few of them, he's talking about how I hope to hear from you of how this is going.
Yeah.
But he's anxious because he doesn't know. But he's, and there are other times where he's like, I was so glad to hear. And so you get to see that in his letters too.
So. And when you read Colossians and Philippians, and I thank God every day when I pray for you.
Yeah,
like that's tied up into the, the daily concern for all the churches. I mean, that's what he's doing. And Paul. We reference that list because in 2 Timothy, Paul says, "I endure everything for the sake of others, so that they may come to obtain salvation." Like that's what Paul went through. That pressure. So that other people would know Jesus. And so some of it as pastors is going, these are the things you may be called to endure, and it's worth it because it's not just for me.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about, like not quitting, continuing, persevering. It isn't just for me.
Right.
It's not just for me. Like it's for everybody else. It's for other people to come to know Jesus. And that's how Paul, I think, could get through it, because he leveraged it and knew the Lord was using all of that so that other people could obtain the salvation that is in Christ Jesus. Yeah. That's what he says in 2 Timothy chapter 2. That's what he reminds Timothy of. Timothy, I endure all of this for a reason.
Yep.
And it's for this reason. It's for salvation that is in Christ Jesus. And so that's the stuff that we have to remember. So, you told people, again, and I don't think it's wrong, around, everybody has their Demas in their life. And that's true. There is all that. But there is a unique thing in ministry. Yeah. It is different because you are fighting a different kind of battle. And so not to diminish a coworker or a worldly pursuit of something or a business that you co-own with someone, not to diminish all of those. But there is something unique in being in the battle to try to save souls from being snatched into the, the fires of hell, that kind of stuff. And when somebody leaves you and deserts you, it hurts in a way that's just hard to put into. I can't even give voice to it. And so, because the wins and the losses and the celebrations that you have together and the stories that uniquely bond you in a way that's unlike anything else, it is, to your point. Like, if you're not a pastor, it's hard to put into place. That's why to your point, when I read this, I go, yep, I've been there, man. I get it, Paul. You just feel it in a different way because you understand the weight of what this guy is all alone.
Yeah.
All by himself, man.
Yeah.
And everyone's bounced on him in his greatest time of need.
Yep.
And yet Paul responds like Jesus does. And he keeps fighting to the very end. And so, when you asked the question this morning, instantly, I already had first name, boom. It's so fast. Like, it's not even, like, I don't even have to wonder. I'm like, yep, I got it. And I could probably write a list of that. And the gospel goodbyes, like, that's real, man.
It is real.
People who are called to do great things, and it's like, I'm never going to see him again.
Yep.
And we were people who love one another, and we're not going to see each other anymore. Yep. And we can still text and but I'm probably not going to see him until we get to heaven together. And it's not bad.
Yeah.
It still, though, just stinks.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. And you said that, and that was the one that sat with me. I was like, I got a ton of those people, man. Man, I got so many of those folks who, until I get to heaven, one day we'll be together, but we say goodbyes and we had tons of tears. And man, you just know, though, for the sake of the kingdom. And that's what I wrote, because you said that line, like, to spread the gospel, you endure those things.
Yep.
Because it's worth it.
Yep.
And so that's the call on all of our lives, that the gospel is that important. And those are the things that maybe sometimes we're called to do. And so this is a great reminder, I think, for all of us. But yeah, Melody, for sure. I think we all read that going, yep, I know what Melody's going through. Check. I got that one.
Yep.
It is real. It's very real.
And, when we talk about these gospel goodbyes, like there was a sense in which we experienced that when we sent 200 people to PV.
Yeah.
Like those were gospel goodbyes. And
Yeah.
not that we never see these people again,
Right.
but for sure, who was it? We just had a name this morning that I was like, oh, Kenny mentioned somebody this morning specifically. And I'm like, oh, I haven't gotten to go to church with this guy on a regular basis for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, this was somebody that you bump into them in the lobby and you're in their life and you see them on a regular basis, but it's just different. It's a gospel goodbye. We're not doing the same things anymore. We're not in each other's lives in the same way. Was it worth it? Oh, for sure it's worth it.
Right.
But it doesn't come without a cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then again, anytime a staff member moves on or somebody goes, and
Most times a staff member
most
moves
times
on.
a staff member, but again, sometimes it's but again, sometimes it's like, man, they're going off to do awesome things.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we're gonna miss that person.
Yeah.
Man, we're gonna miss who they are and what they bring.
Yeah.
But we get it and go, for the sake of the kingdom. That's the
But I don't
call.
want to just push this to staff members. I think about,
Oh yeah, there are people too in the church when they move.
I think about the Lipels right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my family.
Okay, so the Lipels, a longtime church family that my wife and I, we love Carly and Aaron. Like we love them. Like we shared multiple meals in each other's homes. Like we love being there. They were friends of ours, not just, wasn't that we just showed up and went to church together. They were friends. And
My wife was in a group with her. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like
One of the
we
first people we
love
met.
these people.
Yep.
And they move literally across the world, and now they're living in Japan and are a part of a church in Japan, trying to help people know and love Jesus. And last I heard, I think Aaron's doing like the seminary, and I'm like, oh, you go, like do the thing. And,
That's awesome, man.
but that was a gospel goodbye, and we don't get to do life with them anymore.
Right.
And who knows how long that season's going to be for them? Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 5 years, maybe they never come back.
Right.
We just don't know. But it's like, for the sake of the gospel, go serve.
It should be normal.
It should be normal. We should. That was my point. It's not just about staff people. I hope that there are a multitude of you who are listening that are going to say, for the sake of the gospel, I'm going. I'm going to go do this thing.
Yep.
I'm going to go back to this hometown that I was in, and I'm going to plug into a church there because they need families like ours to keep it going. And I would be brokenhearted, but you should do that for the sake of the gospel. Like those gospel goodbyes hurt, but they should be a common thing, and they should be common in the church. We see them all over the New Testament, all over. We see those gospel goodbyes.
And we started off with it.
Oh, yeah.
Paul and Miletus
Going,
I'm not coming back.
Yep.
But I got to tell you goodbye. And I love you. I'm going to give you one last warning, but I'm not coming back to Ephesus. I'm not coming back.
Yep.
And so, for sure, should be common. Our context is just different.
Yeah.
Again,
we got technology.
Yeah.
We can FaceTime. We can text.
Yeah. But even I was saying with our staff, like it's different because, I want guys and our team to be able to go somewhere where God is calling them, because I want healthy pastors in other churches. That's why we do residency here, is we're going to say goodbye to these residents because we want to send them out.
Yes.
We're having this conversation. We just made a change in our personnel and brought, Corey over here, Corey Heward, because we believe that this kid is one day we're going to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
And it's going to stink. It's going to be horrible. Even Anthony, like I was just thinking about that today. We sent Anthony to PV.
Yes.
And my relationship with Anthony will forever be different.
Yep.
Just because I don't see him every day.
Yep.
But it's for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of his family. And so, he was hired on, essentially we were hired on together.
Yep.
I wasn't even hired here yet, and I was interviewing him.
Yep.
And so, we've done life together for, all these years because proximity, our offices are next to each other.
Yeah.
And now it's different. But we leverage it because we're going, man, what's the best for the kingdom?
Yep.
Best for them, best for our church, best for this. And again, what we know is one day Heward's going to go.
Yep.
And we're going to hate.
If we've done our job right.
If we've done our job and he
and
doesn't
we
blow
can
it.
train him and make him employable.
and we're gonna hear it. And our
Yeah.
church gets to be a part of that. Our
Yeah.
church gets to be a part of that story of sending him out and celebrating that. And it hurts
Yeah.
and it's painful, but it's also like, oh man, the kingdom just got better.
Yep.
And another church gets the blessings of that family. And so, those are the things for our team that I'm always, thinking about is, God is calling people and doing these things. And for us not to be like, nah, man, we want to keep everybody here.
Yeah.
Just build our own little kingdom. And God's like, Josh, ha, ha, ha. So we are always talking about this. How are we helping?
Yep.
How are we investing? How are we growing this kingdom? And so again, our church believes in that. That's why you
Yep.
see these residents doing this thing and learning and growing. And because we're like forcing ourselves to have these gospel goodbyes.
Yep.
Jason wants to be emotional all the
Yep.
time. People, don't you know?
It's true.
It's
true.
Love
Yeah.
it, man.
I think the last thing, just as a wrap up, the thing that seemed to connect with a few people came up and mentioned was just the line that around where Paul says, I will be rescued.
Mm.
Like the Lord stood by my side, gave me the strength. And I was delivered from the lion's mouth, and the Lord will rescue me. He will rescue me in the midst of all the pain and the hurt and the circumstances and the beatings. And he said, no, I was saved. I was saved through all of that. And what he's describing there is not saved from the beating, not saved from the persecution, not saved from the imprisonment. He never got out of these chains that he's in, but yet he was rescued because all of the circumstances of hurt and pain could not take away the promise of God for eternal life. And he's like, that's what the ultimate rescue was. Like it goes back to when Paul says, I would rather just go and be with Jesus. That's better by far, but I can't because I'm going to be stuck here trying to help y'all get to heaven too. Like what is that? Philippians 2. Yeah. And he's like, I want to go be with Jesus. And who knows what the years are. I'm sure we could go figure it out. But however many years between that day and this day, he's like, and the Lord kept his promise.
Yep.
And he's going to bring me into his kingdom. And that's the rescue. And I think it was such a good reminder for me to think through, no matter what happens here, the ultimate promise that we get is he's taking me into his kingdom. And so whatever I have to endure until then, whatevs, we'll endure it.
I was thinking about is you're talking about that and we're at the end. I'm remembering the 1 Timothy 1:15. I'm the worst of sinners. I'm the chief of sinners, right? That was one of the things we talked about. Paul was the lion's mouth for so many people before God rescued him.
Yeah.
And this is how he's ending. You know what I mean? He was he was the person to come and execute all these Christians. And I'm thinking, man, what God did in an instant and then 20 years of life. But I'm like, oh, Paul, you were the lion's mouth from other people.
Yeah.
You were the fear. People were you're talking about, Ananias, but like you bring that's what made me think of it because you brought Ananias up and I was like, I can't go to him. Nope. He's going to kill me. I know this guy.
Yeah.
And that was Paul. Paul was the instrument of destruction.
Yeah.
And then God redeems his life. And at the end, he has just gone through all of this and he's going, but God's going to rescue me.
Yeah.
It's such cool.
There was a saying somewhere, somebody wrote something along this. The glory of the gospel is when Paul dies and walks in those pearly gates, he's celebrated by the people he killed. You want to see a picture of the glory of the gospel is Paul gets a hug from Stephen when he's walking through the pearly gates. Like that is how powerful the gospel is.
That's a good spot to end.
That is. That's a good line.
Hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you guys Sunday.